Today, I want to review with you the truth about Ahsoka Tano's biggest nemesis, Barriss Offee. And of course, that's her biggest nemesis during the Clone Wars. She certainly had another nemesis after the end of the Clone Wars, and it would seem during the time of The Mandalorian, Thrawn would be yet another big nemesis for the character. But heading back to the Clone Wars, Barriss Offee was certainly one of the most interesting antagonists that Ahsoka has had. And that is of course because they started out as good friends. They were both female Padawans during a time of conflict, and certainly conflict and challenges are something that bring people together, and Ahsoka and Barriss, they were no exception to this. But unfortunately, that friendship didn't last, and Brenton Stewart over at CBR.com does a great job of summarizing this. The author states, Ahsoka quickly discovered a friend in Barriss, and the two Padawans survived together their own brushes with death. But what lurked under the surface was a conflict that gave the character unparalleled depth, and which would rock Ahsoka's own philosophy for decades to come. End quote. And of course the key here is that despite the fact that Barriss and Ahsoka became good friends, Barriss didn't trust Ahsoka enough to share with her her thoughts about the Jedi. She was very similar to Qui-Gon Jinn in this way, and that she felt very strongly that the Jedi Council and the Order at large had lost their way. But again, Brenton Stewart over at CBR, he does a great job of explaining how Barriss actually fell to the dark side. He states, in her studies of ancient Jedi texts and as the Clone Wars wore on, Barriss became convinced that the Jedi of her era lost their way, with a view of the Jedi as perpetuating the war rather than defending the galaxy as peacekeepers. Barriss believed they became far more like the Sith they sought to destroy than any of those around her would care to admit. End quote. But again, instead of reaching out to a friend like Ahsoka Tano, Barriss kept these thoughts to herself, and eventually she chose a much darker path. A path in which she wasn't just questioning the Jedi Council like Qui-Gon Jinn, but more like Count Dooku, she openly revolted against it, and that revolt was violent and framed none other than her friend Ahsoka Tano. But once again, Brenton Stewart does a great job of summarizing this in his CBR article, suggesting Barriss staged a bombing of the Jedi Temple that killed several people and set up Ahsoka to take the fall for it. In seeking to plant discontent and distrust among the Jedi, Barriss embodied much of the same darkness she sought to fight against, and it was only after Anakin narrowly captured her following Ahsoka's banishment from the Order that the truth came out. Still, Ahsoka's faith in the Jedi was forever shaken, and she left the Order even after her name was cleared. End quote. And personally, I just love how these two started out as good friends, both very promising young Padawans, who would no doubt one day become great Jedi, and then Barriss slowly becomes the antithesis to Ahsoka. And we can see this very clearly during their duel. They're both small individuals that are quick and agile, and without a doubt they're both willing to challenge authority, but how they go about that is completely different. So the truth when it comes to Ahsoka Tano and her biggest nemesis, Barriss Offee, is that there's a very fine line when it comes to questioning authority and trying to create change in your own life or in the life of an institution like the Jedi Order. Ahsoka was able to do both of those things walking the path of the light side, whereas Barriss Offee embraced the dark side in hopes that it would empower her to create the changes she wanted. And Ahsoka sums this all up nicely for us when she states, Barriss Offee was wrong about a lot of things. She let her anger cloud her judgment, and she tried to justify her actions without considering their wider effects. She was afraid of the war, and she didn't trust people she should have to listen to. But she had a point about the Republic and the Jedi. There was something wrong with them, and we were too locked into our traditions to see what it was. Barriss should have done something else. She shouldn't have killed anyone, and she definitely shouldn't have framed me for it. But if we'd listened to her, really listened, we might have been able to stop Palpatine before he took power. End quote. And this all brings to mind a very interesting what-if scenario. What if Ahsoka Tano and Barriss Offee had joined forces? Would they have been able to unravel Palpatine's plot or create serious change within the Jedi Order itself? Personally, I think there's no limit to what these two young ladies could have done. But hey, Star Wars fans, head over to CBR.com and check out the Brenton Stewart article. He has a very interesting point in that article, and it's one I haven't touched on here at all. As always, I'm Mike. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.